Hi everybody, you join me for episode 2 of the eBay £1,500 Porsche. In today's episode we're going to find out everything that's wrong with the car, everything that's going to need doing to get it back on the road, and then we're also going to have a quick delve into the history of the vehicle, look at the previous owners, and have a look at some of the service history the vehicle's got as well, because it's pretty extensive. So yeah, let's get into it and see what's actually wrong with the car. So back in the workshop, it's actually the same day. I'm going to get it up on the hoist, and then we can start looking around it and see what's actually wrong with it. There is quite a list to go through, so let's get into it. So first thing to note is that really there isn't actually a lot of structural corrosion. A lot of it is just light surface rust and general dirt and grime. So looking around it now, it's actually I was really pleased with what I could see. Sorry for the lack of focus there. The brakes themselves weren't actually doing too badly either. Now even just pushing the car around the yard, I could tell that there was an issue with the rear brakes. It was making a lot of noise. But that's binding and making a bit of an... And yeah, ideally hoping that it's actually inside the drums and not inside the rear diff, but we're not going to know until we start stripping things down. So again, other than sort of general dirt, the rear arches look really tidy. There's no obvious signs of any massive rust. This side sounded a lot better, so it gave me a lot more confidence that the noise was actually in the rear drum. The horn has seen better days, as you can tell, but weirdly still works. So I'm guessing it's a two-tone, so that was a result. I've got the wheels off, as you can see, and again, it all looks very tidy. It's just there's a lot of surface rust and a lot of general dirt, a lot of cobwebs and things like that. You can see that the brakes have held on a bit, and again, shock tower, it isn't actually heavily rusted. It's just some light surface corrosion. There's a bit in that wing, but otherwise looking really tidy. And again, wheels off on the rear, you can still hear that noise, but inside here there is a really tidy shell. And I think the guy had told me that he'd wax oiled it like 15 years ago, and you can see that it's all just flaking off now, but it's done its job. It's kept the arms and stuff protected, so that's a touch. This brake pipe didn't fill me with confidence, but actually it cleaned up really well, and it turns out it is just the wax oil on the brake pipe. So this is really one of the only sort of major sticking points in terms of bodywork, and I feel like the whole section is probably going to have to be cut out and started again, but you can see it's kind of full of filler, I think, or it's like split away from the filler or whatever, but I'm not 100% sure. And again, just a very minor amount of sort of rust and corrosion here, a little bubble on the front valance, but again, it's actually very solid. And looking up here, it doesn't look pretty, but it's all very solid. I've checked it, none of it's actually breaking away, it's just where the paint's flaking off. Coming underneath, I had given it a quick clean over, so a lot of the dirt and grime that was originally on it is gone now, but I will insert a picture here. This was the state of it when I first got it. Obviously I've given it a good clean off, as you can see from the footage here. But originally, yeah, it was absolutely covered in dust and dirt and things. But again, everything is solid, nothing is overly bad. The water pump, as you can see, is completely knackered. But I have got a new one to fit to it. Obviously, I wouldn't even consider that. And this is probably one of the hardest things I'm going to have to deal with, is getting a new radiator for it. I've had a quick look. 944 rads are everywhere, but a 924 rad, they're a lot harder to get because they're all metal radiators, and the brackets aren't looking great either. Now, coming around the back of it, you can see, again, everything looks pretty tidy. There's a slight weep coming from the side of the diff / gearbox at the back, but it isn't bad. The rest of the underside I was really pleased with. I mean, the spare wheel carrier, there's no real rust. There's, again, a bit of paint flaking off of the straps, but the tank is held in solid. The drive shafts all look good. Bottom of the strut towers for the suspension all looks really good, and those arms all look really tidy as well. There is an invoice for a new exhaust, but that was a fair few years ago still. Right, so you join me inside. We're just going to look at all the things that don't work on this car. So the things that don't work on the interior: the fan doesn't do anything, the fuel gauge doesn't work, the voltmeter, I don't know if that's working or the alternator's not. The clock seems to work, so that's good. This is like a boot release, which I'm not sure if that works. The sunroof actually does work. So that's good. The electric mirrors do work. One of them does. Headlamp washers work. The rear fog works. The rear wiper works. The heated rear screen does not. The hazards work. Yep. So the electric windows do nothing. Obviously there's the obvious fact that it's not got a radio. That doesn't work. That might have something to do with the fact that the speakers are completely rotted out. You look at the one that's in the door, there's not a lot left of it. And most obviously, it doesn't start or run. Wow, that's a pretty big list. To be fair, I've got my work cut out. Now, I'm going to spend most of the summer trying to get this back on the road, I think. My goal is to have it ready and on the road for 2023. I have got a particular show that I want it to be displayed at, which is Roll Hard in 2023. So we need to get our asses in gear and see if we can get it ready for that. Let's finish up the video by just taking a quick look at the vehicle's history. There's some really cool things, and hopefully we like them. Right peeps, so you join me from my living room. I'm just currently looking through the history file on the vehicle. Now I've got a few of the old owners' documents like V5s and things like that. I've covered up the addresses of the owners and stuff, but from what I can see, the vehicle was originally purchased by G. Dayton in 1984, and he worked for maybe, I don't know, solicitors in Chelsea and London. Then it went to Peter Lionel Downing in 1987, I think. Again, then it went to Ireland, which we can kind of see from the import-export documents there. They went to a Danielle Cantillon, and I think maybe she was a head teacher in Ireland, because there is actually an invoice for some insurance documents in there. It went back to the UK to a gentleman called Terence Arnold. And then it went to Michael Ordway, which is the guy that we got it from, and then now I've got it. So just a very quick look at the paperwork that I've got. This is every certificate, every MOT the vehicle's had from new. It doesn't have to have one for the first 3 years, and the only thing is it's missing the ones from Ireland, which is a bit of a shame. All the paperwork up here is all of the import, export, and a few invoices from Ireland. Then we've got over here, which is pretty cool. This is all of the original invoicing for the vehicle. That's the 6,000 mile original check over for the car, which I thought was pretty cool. And it went to DW Pettifor a lot, which I'm guessing is like a pretty high-end dealer because it's Porsche and Ferrari. But there is rakes of old service sheets in here. Have a guess what you think the total value of all of the invoices are based on the amount that you can see. And I'll tell you at the end of the video. Now this was really cool. This is an original price list for all the service components and the servicing for DW Pettifor back in 1984, I think it is. And you can see for the 924, £37 plus the VAT for a basic service, and then it was £115 plus the VAT for a more expensive service. Then over here we've got more invoicing and stuff, just general tyre invoices and things like that. But we've also got invoicing for bodywork, and it's had 3 lots of bodywork done in its life, some to the front and some to the rear. I've got a feeling that these are the original, potentially the original seller's business cards, some cool very old Castrol stickers, and then we've got the original service manual as well. So I've got the original sort of book to keep it all in. I've got the original owner's manual, which I thought was really cool, the maintenance record and stuff, and I will go through that in a sec. This is the list of sort of local radio stations. Not really sure what that is on the front. I'm guessing it's just a telephone number for somebody. But these are all the local stations in the UK. Then you've got a service book. This just literally tells you where all of the service dealers are throughout the entire world on a map. Literally the whole world, which is mad. This I thought was really interesting. So this is a pocket guide to Porsche ownership. Now in here, there's lots of little interesting bits, but this I thought was quite interesting, and it says, advice we hope you'll never need. And number 1 is about citizens' advice, and it's almost like they know that you're going to get caught speed. The Citizens Advice Bureau, your local office, will be listed in the telephone directory. They provide individual, confidential, free help and guidance. Right, and then this is the last bit I'm going to show you. This is the actual owner's manual, which I thought was really cool, and I'm going to just show you a couple of bits in here. Alarm system. This is really cool. Apparently, if you had an alarm fit to the vehicle, it had a second keyhole for a second key in its entirety. And then what you'd do is you'd actually put the second key, which would be different to the ignition and the door keys, and it would set the alarm. I thought that was pretty random. Then we've got over here, this is pretty cool. It tells you what gear and what RPM you should be changing up at when driving the vehicle. This one, so this is just general maintenance for the vehicle, but what makes me laugh is back in the the 80s, they were told how to literally change engine oil, how to flush your radiator, how to do the coolant, how to drain the coolant, how to change your oil filter, air filter, the lot, even ATF, and it even tells you in here how to maintain your air conditioning. But nowadays they tell you not to drink the contents of the battery, which is crazy. So this was quite cool as well. This literally tells you every statistic on the engine, the vehicle, the gaps on the plugs, valve clearances, so again, stuff that you never would see in a modern vehicle. It's got its vehicle's top speed, it's got the 0 to 60s, it's got the weights, the dimensions, even the acceleration curve and how quickly you're going to get to what speed. I thought that was really cool. And then there's a maintenance record, which is actually pretty good. It's got quite a lot in here. Just going to very quickly run through this bit here. We've got, so this is all the optional extras that came on the car. This is so AY6, I don't know what that is, and I don't know what 990 is, but C16 is the luxury spec, which I don't know if one is actually a luxury spec, but it's interesting. 398 is the heated electric mirrors, 416 3-spoke steering wheel, 425 is the rear wiper, 650 is the sunroof, 651 is the electric windows, and 666, which ironically is 0 paint protection. Well, that was quite ironic actually. And then we've also got stamps for DW Pettifor. These are all the original vehicle checks at what mileage they were done at. The book stopped getting stamped in 94 at 77,000. But I've got invoicing way past that point. The final thing I wanted to show you is these green pages here. This is actually a customer address card. Now presumably this is how you would check and change the address of the owner. So I think if we get enough likes on this video, I'm not sure how many yet. I'll have a think and I'll put it up on screen. But if we get enough likes, I will fill one of these out and I will post it to Germany, and we'll see if we get a reply from Porsche. So yeah, but that's just a very, very quick breakdown of 40 years of history on the car. Oh, and just over there, it's had at least 3 aftermarket head units, so at least 4 including the original Porsche one. But yeah, let's move on. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I do really appreciate it, and I know I've got my work cut out with this project, but I think we should just get stuck into it and we'll see. Please do a like, please do a share, please do a subscribe. Let me know if you had a 924 in the past, and if you had any issues with yours and what were they, and if they had the same of mine, and what the remedies are and how I can get it working and running. Thanks again for watching and the support. It means the world to me. See you on the next episode. Oh, and if you thought I forgot, I hadn't. £2,700 is a total invoicing for the car.